people. Free people. All right. Our next speaker is the wonderful Patty Guzman. She's a Brooklyn-based facilitator and organizational developer committed to radical social equity. Patty grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area and has spent much of her career working to support food sovereignty, economic justice, and self-empowered community development. Her experience as an Afro-Latina immigrant has helped inform her belief that self-determination is the primary pathway towards community liberation. Patty currently works as a senior project officer at the Working World, where she applies a popular education framework to business and organizational development with worker-owned businesses and cooperatives. She attended NYU's Master in Food Studies and holds a double bachelor's in environmental science and studies from Santa Clara University. Patty is an avid lover of plants and nature and likes working to find the balance between embracing urban living and exploring newfound natural treasures of the East Coast. Please join me in welcoming Patty Guzman.
So fancy. Wow. Hello, everyone. I didn't get to do the little shake out activity, and I'm a little shaky, so I'm going to ask us again to stand up and help me shake this out while we start talking about economic sustainability. So really quickly, just shake it out. Okay, we're ready. All right, y'all. So my name's Patty. Thank you so much, Leah, for putting this together. I didn't get a chance to come earlier today for the framing, but I know that this is such a powerful concept, right? Talking about land access and how are we gonna, now that we have this land, how are we gonna make it work for us? And before diving in, I think a couple of things that were really powerful from what I heard earlier today. Clark talked a lot about land tenure, right? And getting this land and the history, and that was so powerful to think about. This is just a snapshot in time. We're building on so much legacy here when we talk about really using land as a tool for healing and liberation. And then Ed was able to really connect the dots about capital, access to capital, and how much historically certain communities have been strategically excluded from access to that capital, and how important it is to be able to have that to really be able to continue generating wealth. And for me, those two come together at this intersection of how are you going to use it? You know, you have the land, you have potentially the capital, but what are we going to do with it at our projects and in our ventures to really make it work for us and really be a tool for healing? So I also quickly want to shout out to my colleague Gerald Mitchell, who wasn't able to be here today, but he works with me at the Working World. You could read about him in your pamphlets and your bios, but he was really a lot of the brains behind what I'm able to share today. So I just wanted to give a shout out to him. He's at his, I think, niece's graduation or something, but he's here in spirit. So we've got the land. Now how do we keep it, right? So first, I really wanted to ask folks about what does the idea of economic sustainability mean to people? Oh, no, that's okay. Economic sustainability, what does that mean to folks? Yes?
Able to make it through that rainy season, kind of a cyclical process as you talked about.
Mm-hmm. So being able to use when you have some wealth and kind of holding on to it for times where it's not so productive and you need a buffer. I think I saw another hand. Yes. What's your name?
Luisa.
Lisa.
Having capital to invest also, so even if it's not a rough time, having something that having a resource
Right.
to build more and more.
Okay, so say you have, you're okay right now, and it's not for tomorrow's rainy day, but how do you want to grow and further develop the project that you're working on? That's good. One more thought. Your name? What is it?
Guillermo.
Guillermo. What do you think it means?
Just a little building on just what was brought up by the sister, which is the idea of being able to capitalize and evolve your means of production without losing jobs, without keeping people employed. So the idea of how to find efficiencies and optimal growth, but at the same time, making jobs still happen, needing people, not making everything a robot.
Right. And I think that's a really important point because a business bottom line sometimes really misses the human element of these are people who are involved, and really being able to speak to the quality of life and the standard of living of the people who are involved is a really important layer when you're thinking about sustainability and productivity and profit. These words that have, I think, been villainized over time, but why is profit bad? You know, if it's something that wealth and abundance is something that we deserve, and that's, for me, as a person who, so I've been at the working world at the financial cooperative, which was mentioned earlier. I don't know if we can get into it right now, and I'm happy to talk about it offline, but it's basically thinking about, like, how could we use business, capital, these vehicles that for a long time have been used to extract and oppress communities, and how can we shift that on its head and say, you know, actually we have access to the same knowledge, to the same know-how, and we have the same birthright and are deserving of that wealth, that agency, and that abundance. So that's why I'm so excited about business as a non-traditional business person, because these are tools that we all have access to, and that's what I want to talk about today. So thank you for sharing that. So going on to the next point. Right, so we're talking about we have land. What do we want to do? What do I need to do as a business owner, as a collective business owner, potentially, to think about building and managing this land and business successfully? And earlier we talked a little bit about these models, right? And I would actually like to get a sense from the room of what types of models people are interested in. So when we say model or venture, someone mentioned earlier that it's, you have a project, and many times it's rooted in an actual business venture or mechanism that's there, and it's built for us to, it's kind of like to generate, it's a business basically, right? And it's tied to land. So I want to get a show of hands, or maybe ask people to just stand up. How many people are interested and hear specifically about intentional community ventures? If you can stand up. Okay. All right. That's exciting. That's about half the room. That's great. Okay, so sitting down. So how many folks are interested in farming or like value-added products? Okay. We got a good group here. We're all thinking on the same wave. Cool. We could take a seat. And the last question I have is about like retreat centers. That's something that we were really, really interested in and want to think about how to make that viable. Okay, about a third of the room. All right, did I miss something? They're really excited about retreat centers. Okay, okay, so that's one polling question. The second polling question that I have is about how many people are more in the inception phase of like, we're interested in this, but we haven't quite started our project yet. You can stand up. Okay, probably a little less than half. And sitting down. How many people are in it? We have a venture, we have land, and we really want to think about how to make it work. Okay. Awesome. We have a really good balanced group here. A lot of knowledge in the room that I welcome as we talk through this. And the last question for that is how many people have a project, they're knee-deep in it, and we think it's really going well, and we want to share that knowledge with other people? All right. So I hope you got a chance to look around and see that, you know, we're here together and we're here for a reason, right? There's people in the room who are interested in what you're interested in. We are resources for each other as well. And we talked about self-sufficiency, and, you know, self-determination really means also looking around in your community and how we can pull that knowledge that others have gained into the work that we're doing too. So I hope you see each other as a resource here. And I will definitely be pulling from that as we move through. So that said, and the last thing I want to say is, business and economics, at least from my experience, can feel very out of touch. It's like, those are the business people, that is economics. And, I'm here to really encourage us to feel like this can be our world and our language too. So literacy moments, if someone says something that you don't understand at all, or let's be okay with asking, what does that mean? And can we really go through that again? Because like I said, I really believe this is a right that we have, and it's not rocket science. So I just want to encourage that as we move through the next moments together. Okay, and then how do I click forward? Oh, sure. I can do it. Okay, so folks shared earlier what they felt sustainability meant, right? So or economic sustainability and some different considerations. So a definition we have up here is meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So obviously, some of you may have seen this before, but really thinking about, there are different components that we're thinking about here. Environmental, economic, social, and there's intersections there too. And so how could we really drive towards our own need for being able to make a living wage and have the resources we need, but not be extractive of other people who are maybe part of this project, not extractive of the environment. And so this is just kind of a tone setting here. And I actually wanted to, I forgot to do this earlier, but I would like to know, maybe polling some burning questions people have about economic sustainability in terms of ventures that we are thinking about as we work through the projects that we're on. So before we get some shape it that way. Yes, your name?
Nia.
Nia?
Nia, yeah. I don't have a full
And then
question of this, just because I'm kind of speaking on behalf of someone. But say hypothetically, there's this plot of land, there's no deed to it at all, and the only way to get it is to possibly, put up land that you already kind of have. It's not something that we own, but it's something that it's a reservation. So how would we get the land that should, even though I don't like to say belong, but it should belong to us, the non-deeded land? How would we get that without putting the land that we do have in jeopardy, and also have the other land not be in our ownership, but still be in our ownership? Yeah. I don't know the words.
Okay. So I guess I'm hearing, if this is right, so being able to reclaim land that maybe isn't in someone's ownership, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or anyone's ownership, but bring it back to,
Okay, so reclaiming land for specific communities that maybe originally should have right to that land. And I don't know if we'll get into that specifically right now. I think later on we're also talking about ownership mechanics. So hopefully we can get to that there. So any other questions about, so I have a business and I have questions about that. Or I have thoughts of a business, I don't have it yet, but I have questions about that. Your name, please?
My name's Kohei.
Okay. Hi, Kohei.
Hi. Relationship between business, land, and family.
Okay, yeah. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, so who owns the land, the business, or the family, and conflict of interest, and
Okay.
how to
how to secure people's assets.
Okay. Okay, yeah, and I think that probably comes up a lot with groups of folks who are working, living together, related to each other, and trying to really have a viable business that they're running, so.
And I guess another question is transition. We talked about transitioning soil, but maybe transitioning land or business that's not that we're not comfortable with, and transitioning that to something that's more sustainable, egalitarian, cooperative. So what would a transition look like from a traditional land-owning farm structure to a non-traditional cooperative model that involves trust?
Yeah.
And yeah.
Right. And I think I also think you're probably not alone in that question, and we are kind of going through a collective shift from this traditional capitalist patriarchy system to like how can we move towards cooperative and collaborative ownership. So definitely note that one. Couple more questions. What's your name? And then you here, and then we'll jump right in.
It's Rico.
Rico?
Yeah. Talking about moving possibility of moving maybe 40 to 50 homes from a 501(c) to self-sustainable and owned community in and of itself. 501(c) is basically failing. They're behind like 40, 50,000. And we want to help them out. We're making a community project, make sure they don't lose the property.
Okay, great. You know, and I see Clark also was taking notes on some of these questions. I think we are definitely going to get into a lot of these mechanics questions in the part 2 of the day. So it's good that we're able to queue those up. And there was one last question.
Hi, my name's Brandon.
Wait a second, please.